Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And I tell you, sometimes we think about a lot of things that could go wrong in our life or go wrong in our life. And we start thinking about all the negative things and not knowing that sometimes God has his hands on you and that you got a whole lot of things in your toolbox as it relate to life on how to deal with a lot of these things that you're going to go through trials and tribulations, a whole lot of different things that we are faced with and we don't understand. But what we need to understand is that sometime in order to really get an understanding of what our purpose are, we have to understand what we got, how powerful we are, and that we got a whole lot of mechanism, especially in keeping the devil away, pushing him away, because you got a whole suit of armor and you got a big old toolbox of life that we carry around with us, but we have to be able to utilize it when we have to utilize it. And so today we're going to talk about all of those things because I got one of the best guests, one of my most favorite guests. She's been on the show. I think this is a third or fourth time. I don't know. Every time she come on, she busts a record for us viewers, for our viewers, and etc. And I'm not even gonna tell you her name right now. I'm gonna let Michelle do that because she gonna beat me up if I go ahead and give away most of her stuff. But I want you guys to grab about 5 or 6 bags of popcorn, sit back, and listen to this lesson learned that you will learn, and just follow along with us. How you doing, Doctor Michelle Denise Cooley? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this guest is amazing. She's been on our show so many times. I think I've lost count, but she's always having a very, educational, informative topics to discuss, and they enlighten, encourage, and inspire people. So we are always excited to have her as a guest on the show.
Well, you know what? Always, and wherever you're watching this at, whether you're watching on 360 TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, over 25 other live streaming networks, all you have to do is go to the comments, ask this young lady any question that you might have, and I promise you, we'll get you an answer. Michelle, can you please tell our viewers and our listeners the title of the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this great guest?
Yes, the title of today's show is What's in Your Life's Toolbox? And we're getting to know veteran, best-selling author, transformational speaker, and CEO Stacey Bulluck. We're going to talk about the concept of emotional intelligence, the importance of confidence and unconditional love, and why critical thinking skills are so important. And we're also going to be talking about resilience. So let's talk a little bit about this guest today. As again, Stacey is the founder of Power and Resilience Coaching Agency. She's the president CEO of Order Steps Incorporated, a nonprofit serving homeless women and formerly incarcerated women veterans, a best-selling author, transformational speaker, certified John Maxwell leadership coach, civil servant, and ordained evangelist. Stacey is also an Army veteran, having served a little under 18 years, where she advanced to the rank of Staff Sergeant. She is a compassionate individual whose mission is to help others reach their full potential through their power of resilience. That's the reason she began coaching men and women ages 35 to 45. Let's welcome back to the show, Stacey Bulluck.
Welcome back, Stacey. It's always a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having you on this show. As always. So I just want to say thanks for accepting the invite and coming back again.
It is always my pleasure, Doctors Cooley. Oh my goodness. I get so excited. I got chills running up and down my arms now just because I'm so excited to be here again. I mean, it's a wonderful thing when somebody wants you to come on their show. I am so grateful to God that He uses me to impact somebody else's life. So excited about that.
Well, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today because you came up with this title, "What's in Your Life Toolbox," and I can't wait to get there. But Stacey, I want first of all, I want to congratulate you. I'm always following you around to your Facebook, all your social media, and I'm seeing you getting this award, and they surprising you, and when you went up to get it, it's like, oh, I didn't. ah. Yeah. But you do so many great things in the communities, and you do so many great things, and you're so talented. I mean, an artist, an author, uh, uh, a minister. I mean, all of these great things. Plus, most important, you're a child of the Most High God that cares, that truly cares about everybody. Can you tell our viewers and listeners, since the last time you done show, maybe a month ago, what are some of the great things that had happened, and have you had any new discoveries? Just talk about it a little bit.
Yes, well, James, you talked about one of the most rewarding things. It wasn't just the award that I received, the Community Impact Achievement Award. Right, matter of fact, it's here to my right. I don't know if you all can see it, but that the gentleman who run this organization, who made a decision to award me with this, I had no idea how many of them were listening to me. Let me say that. I did. I'm very close with a couple of them, and I mentor them and coach them in their life, and they're becoming such great men. They're becoming actors. They're becoming entrepreneurs. They're doing their thing. I'm just so excited to watch them grow. And that's one of the most exciting things that have happened. Actually, yesterday, I just received a phone call to participate in an art exhibit, hanging my art again in another art gallery with a well-known artist out here in California. I am just blown away by this. And his name is Mr. Michael Massenberg. And just a phenomenal artist. His work is brilliant. And I'm going, I'm going to have my work hanging in the same place. This is mind blowing. God is doing something in my life. He just like flipped on this switch and said, okay, all your talents on go right now. And let me tell you something. I want to just slip this in here for people. We have to be prepared, because I said yesterday I received this phone call. How come last weekend I just had this creative urge and I had to produce about 7 pieces of art? And there's one right here to my, nope, that one, the other side. There we go. The other left. And that's Welcome to Eden in the back of me. But there's so many other pieces that I created within a 48-hour time frame. I think there's about 10 pieces. And that had to be God, because the creativity was just flowing. So we have to be prepared. When your heart and mind tells you to move, move.
Wow. So you mentioned a whole lot in that, but I got to say that God always prepares us with gifts, talents, and treasures.
Yes.
And many times it could be overwhelming because we find ourselves saying, God, why me? Why, why you uh, instill all this in me? And so sometimes it's hard for a person to really realize what is their purpose, or what is a piece of their purpose that God may have for you. With all those gifts, treasures, and talent that you do you have a glimpse, or where is God trying to lead you? And I know this is a hot one right there.
Yeah.
And what should be your focus?
Whew. You know, I was asking myself yesterday, I said, you have so many things going on. Are you focused on all of them? I did ask myself that just yesterday. And because I do a lot. I write poetry. Now I'm writing music. I am doing the art. I just created a brand new program for workforce development because I'll be going into organizations who serve homeless people and helping to develop their employees so that they're able to serve effectively. So I don't believe that I am not focused. I'm focused on each item at its specific time. There's that set phrase that says, jack of all trades and master of none. Well, I've rephrased that. I am a jack of all trades and a master of the one that I'm working on at that moment.
I love it because that's what I write in my book. So, jack of all, it's okay to be the jack of all trades, but you got to master one, and that's the one that you're working on at that time. But then you got other trades, and you have to master that one too when you're working on those. So, well put, well put. Let's talk about why you came up with this great topic that we're going to talk about today. Or what prompted you, or what just hit you and say, hey, I need to share this with the world. I need to share this with everybody. Can you tell our viewers and listeners why you come up with this topic and why it's so important to you?
Yes, a gentleman who's my handyman came to fix my door during all these monsoons that California was having. My front door decided it wanted to allow water to come in. So he came in with a toolbox to fix the door. And then he had to go and get some other supplies specifically for the door. And I'm like, wow. We need these tools to fix our life, to make sure that we work effectively and that we are functioning in our specific purpose. And if we don't have the right tools, we cannot function effectively. It is almost impossible because we will have moments that are like, oh, I don't know what to do with this right now. I have no clue. But if we have a tool, if we have an arsenal of things that we can pull up quickly, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But if we have some things that we can just grab a hold to and say, oh, I know how to fix that. I know how to work this out. If I don't have all the resources that I need, at least I know what direction to head in to get the other parts. You know, you take your car to the shop and they say, we got to order the part. So that's the tool I'm sorry, that's not the tool, but they're going to order the part. But when they get the part, do they have the right tools to put it in the car to make the car function properly?
I love it. I love it. So we have to always be prepared to have the tool. But if we don't have the tool, what I think you're trying to say, you got to be prepared to go get them, and you have to know what you need in order to tackle the challenges that we're gonna have in life.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. You have to know what you need.
Let's hold that thought. We're gonna take a station break. But when we come back, I want to pick it up with going out, making sure that we're gonna talk to our audience a little bit on how they can identify what tools they need in their bag and how to go about getting the ones that they don't. It's your life. We got Stacey Bulluck here, and she's wonderful. We'll be back shortly after this message. So if you want to be part of this conversation, all you do is go to the comments, ask any questions you like. I promise you, I'll get you an answer. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. See you shortly.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Hey,
are not a charity. We are veterans. We are warriors, brothers, and sisters. We don't need, we deliver. OpsForVets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
I'm Albert Rencheria, Marine Chief Warrant Officer 4 retired, Ops for Vets CEO. I invite you to take a look at our organization. You'll quickly understand why out of thousands of groups currently serving our veterans, we have become the most rapidly growing and opportunity-rich team in the market. We have deployed dynamic distributors who are responsible for servicing and growing their regions, East, Central, and West. We provide a complete roster of high-caliber services, produced to create the results you require. Find us on the web at www.opsforvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
Welcome back to It's Your Life. And I got my magnificent guest here, Stacey Bulluck. And we're talking about what's in your life toolbox. And that's something that we don't hardly think about a whole lot, because many of us don't think that we need a toolbox. But Stacey made an analogy about the guy coming to fix her door. And he brought a lot of parts in, but didn't have everything. So he knew exactly what he had to go get in order to make sure that he took care of the problem. And I think in life, we all have to have that type of mentality, that thought process, because we all need tools, and we all need a box that we carry around with. One of the things I carry around, Stacey, in my toolbox is the Lord. I mean, that's the number one tool in my box that's most important to me. And by having that, I think that solved most of the issues, but you still have to be able to fix certain other problems, and it requires action. It requires thought process. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners why it's important that humans, we all have a toolbox that's at the ready for things that are going to happen?
Yes, and I agree 100% with you regarding God being the ultimate source for where all of our tools come from. I couldn't even have thought of this without God speaking to me and saying, "Hey, I'm going to use you to make sure people know that they need a toolbox." And we may not think of it as being that simplistic, but that's just how God is. It's not a complicated thing. This relationship that we can establish is not complicated. And we'll have all the tools that we need right here in this earthly box, this human box. As you talked about it, why do we need a human toolbox? We need it because it helps us to feel safe. When things go awry, we don't have to lose it. We don't have to go to the wrong source. We can run to a place where I know that I'm safe. We can use this toolbox to become healthy, to take care of this human box. We get the tools of right nutrition, exercise, sleeping, drinking enough water. Those are the tools for the healthy part. We need tools to motivate ourselves. Because I don't know about you, Dr. Cooley, but there are days when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, "Ooh, I don't want to do nothing." With all the stuff that I do, I do wake up and say, "Oh, I don't know where I'm going to get the strength from today." But then all of a sudden, guess what? Because of the tools that I have, the relationship that I have built, I understand the assignment. I understand who I am. So when we have these toolbox, we become energized and we get fully engaged with life. And we have to do that. We require this. When we break down, because we I'm getting a little older, or should I say a little wiser. And there's some things that I need to do more now so than I did when I was 25. I know some people probably looking at the screen saying, "You're not 25." No, not anymore. 26. No, just kidding. But we need our tools to make sure that we function properly.
Well, you just mentioned something, and that happened to me today, actually. Because I know I have to get up and go to the gym or go out and do my 6 miles. This morning, I woke up. I guess it was pure laziness, and I said, I'm not getting up today. And I tried to pick out excuses for me just lay in the bed longer. But then I said, well, I'm not going to have the right tools to function the rest of the day unless I get this taken care of first. It's kind of like my breakfast. I'm talking about when I get out and take a hike and do my thing. And then I'm able, once you get started, Stacey, once it's like 6 miles. 6 miles seem like a long and far place to hike. But once you get started, that energy come back, then you know that
Mhm.
things in you and in order to fix or think about or do the other things that's going to be required that you had planned for that day. So it's important that we all focus on making sure that we stay focused even when we don't want to do certain things. And so Stacey, what are some of the things that us humans, and I know you mentioned a few, that need to make sure make sure that we carry with us at all times?
Well, let me put this in here first to help us understand what it is. What what's this toolbox? What's a tool? What is it for? So it's a pre-compiled what you just talked about, a routine, something that we have in our lives that we do on a consistent basis. We have to make sure that we pay attention to our physiological needs, to our safety needs, our love and belonging needs. This is from a psychologist from way back in the day, and the method is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And he took the liberty to give us an outline, a blueprint, if you will, of what it's going to take for human beings to be successful in life. And he gave us these levels. He gave us the physiological, the outside, the part that we go to the doctor for. We get regular checkups. You get to a certain age, they say you're supposed to do this, or you're supposed to get a mammogram or colonoscopy. Don't forget these things. These things are important for our needs, for our human needs. Safety. Keep yourself in a safe space. When I was younger, I'll say, I would go probably, we had nerves of steel. We just go and do we want to be at the top of the roller coaster, waving our arms and dancing around. And that thing is about to go 60 miles an hour, flying down the ramp, I'll call it. But sometimes we can't do that when you get to a certain point in life. It's like, okay, what's the safety thing? So we're using our mind. Our mind is the key component to this human toolbox. And please don't forget the love part. Don't forget the love on you. Don't forget to say, I love you, and mean it to yourself. Understand what it means. Understand that love is action, and find a place that you belong. Not I don't mean a negative place, a gang or something like that. No. That's why there's a portion in the Bible that says, don't forsake the assembly. So don't forsake, don't keep yourself away from assembling with things and people who are going to uplift you and encourage you and build you and make sure that you feel like, oh, I'm the king of the mountain or the queen of the mountain. We have to make sure, and these esteem needs, these things that will make us feel good about ourselves. Sometimes we can look around. I'm looking around right now. I'm sitting in my dining room and I'm like, wow, I had the ability to make this happen, to buy this house, and then what is my self-actualization? That means that where am at this point in my life, am I at the level of fulfilling my purpose and my gifts are shining in the earth? My talents, I'm not just going and sticking them in the ground and burying it. I'm putting it in places where I know that it's needed, like going into organizations that need help for their staff. Because a lot of times when organizations, they hire their staff after they've gone through a program. And so that person is still kind of sort of like, well, I don't really know how to be an employee. But I know how to be in this program. But now you're not in this program anymore, and people are looking at you as a leader. So now I go in and I encourage people to lead. One of my mantras is building people to lead, and we need all of these things to make this box work effectively.
And we do. And you mentioned the hierarchy of needs by Maslow. Abraham Maslow, that's one of my favorite psychologists. And he was on to something that spread it. Now it's utilized around the world because all of those things are required in order to fulfill your self-actualization once you reach the highest point in that. And many times that requires us from an emotional standpoint. I call it the EWI, emotions, EIW, emotions, your intellect, and your will. All of these things, which I believe makes a person whole, because you have to be cognitive of all of those things and have to have a balance of all of those things. And that, I believe it requires to truly understand emotional intelligence. Because a lot of us do not understand emotional intelligence. But I want to talk about that when we come back from the break. I want to pick it up with what's your version, what's your definition of emotional intelligence. Let's dive off into that. And our viewers out there, come on. This woman right here is brilliant. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you own, go to the comments, ask her any questions that you might have. And I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll be back with more Stacey shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Hello. Hey, I'm James Cooley. I am the founder and CEO of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, Options, Opportunities, Lasting Choice Program. Our primary mission is to help build the foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And we got Stacey here, Stacey Bulluck, and we're talking about what's in your life toolbox. And just like and every time Stacey's on, she bring it. I mean, she bring it. You know, different topic, but she bring the same information that's going to help us meet these travels, these roads that we're going to travel on in life. Help us understand that you're not by yourself out there, and help us prepare that you have to be prepared, because sometimes you got to carry two box around, just like the repairmans and all these other people that fix things. And sometimes, as long as you got the right stuff in your toolbox, a little simple problem, you just open up that toolbox and just patch it up. But I still believe that we have to have the intelligence. We have to have some intelligent, meaning our emotions. So it's like I talked about emotion, intellect, and your will. Emotions will overcome us and throw us off track where we're just in the physical stage and we're not able to think cognitively correctly and understand spiritually that we still need that as well. So, Stacey, what are your thoughts on being able to understand that emotional intelligence is required in order for us to meet all the different hierarchies of needs and self positions and in life, because that's what it's all about. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Look, we are emotional people. You know, women, they say women are more emotional than men, but we all were born with emotions. You know, even little babies, they cry loudly when something is hurting them, you know, when they are hungry. This is how they express that something is going on. So, as an adult, now we have to look at, how am I expressing my emotions? Do I even understand my emotions? Because that's where the intelligent part comes in, that I have the ability to acquire this understanding of my emotional state. A friend of mine said to me a long time ago, she said, you know, there's a lot of emotionally unstable people walking around out here. And it's evident because when you see somebody, I always use cutting somebody off with a car. And some people get extremely enraged and are not able to control their emotions. But when we are when we have a firm, solid emotional intelligence working in our life, we have the ability to control ourselves, basically. We have the ability to understand that what he or she did most likely doesn't even involve me. That involves the other person. It's their emotions. But see, now here we are in this emotional intelligent state. And we also have an understanding, we have empathy regarding somebody else's emotions. So this emotional intelligence, this is a two-way street. We get to understand and control our own emotions, but we also have to have empathy for somebody else's emotions. We all have what can be considered as a bad day.
Mhm.
We may not hit the mark all the time. And if someone asks you a question and your thoughts are swirling around about something that's happening in your home, you may not give them the emotional controlled answer that you would normally give. But with emotional intelligence, I need us to understand that regardless of what's going on in my world, I still am responsible for making sure that I don't spew that out to somebody else who is undeserving. In the psychology world, we call it misplaced anger. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have the control, we have the understanding of who we are, what makes us tick, what makes us trip. We have to know these things. Knowing yourself is the most important aspect of functioning effectively in this world.
Wow, that's amazing. Stacey, so let's talk about confidence.
Okay.
Confidence has been used so many times. Confidence is great and everything like that. But a lot of people out there are not confident. Let's just put it out there.
Mhm.
So, what is confidence, and what is the difference between confidence and being arrogant? Because there are people there's some people we have met in life.
Mhm.
They seem braggadocious. They
Mhm.
seem like they're full of themselves, but then
Mm.
the explanations goes, I'm just confident in who I am. But I'm like, okay, a confident person, there's a little bit of a difference between that and arrogance. So please explain to
Mhm.
us
Mhm.
why confidence is important and what is the difference between that and arrogance.
Confidence is important because when you're confident, you trust yourself. You trust that I'll use myself as an example right here, right now, sitting and speaking to all of you wonderful people listening. I am confident that I have studied, that I have experiences that give me the ability to express my thoughts to the world. I'm confident that if someone were to type something in negative right now, it wouldn't bother me because I also know, back to the emotional intelligence, that comment really doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with them and their thought pattern. So our confidence will give us the ability to not give up. It will give us the ability to endure and stick things out. We may not think about confidence doing that for us, but when you truly trust you, when you truly trust that God has given you this knowledge, that God has given you this skill, this talent and ability. When you apply for a government job, that back in the day they used to ask you, what's your KSAs, your skills, your knowledge, skills, and abilities. You had to fill that out. So that meant, guess what? You had to know yourself. You had to understand who you are to be able to provide this um, piece of the puzzle that the people needed on this job. But arrogance is a whole different thing. You said a key word, puffed. I think you said puffed up or something like that. But arrogance is somebody who just I'm literally, if I could say it like this, padding the books, meaning I'm adding all of these extra layers to make people think that I'm something that I'm really not. And the arrogance to me is a defense mechanism so that you won't be able to pull their card and pull back the layers of the onion and also and know that you really don't have a firm grasp of who you are. You have inflated yourself so that others may think that you're this great individual. Also, arrogance brings along a conceited factor, and a conceited factor, when I studied it,
Mm-hmm.
it said empty.
Wow.
In the Hebrew lexicon, conceited means empty. So when you put on all of this outside show, truly in essence, you are empty and want to fill it with the things that you're saying, but you haven't done the work.
And you know, that's interesting. I'm glad you said that because, you know, you can be confident, but you don't have to tell everybody everything that you're doing. Or, you know, it's about being humble too. You can do things, you can get all these awards and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You can, you know, you can even have dinner with the Pope, let's just say. But, you know, to me, when you're arrogant and I know we're getting ready for a break, but to me, arrogance is like, I'm trying to impress other people instead of just knowing who I am. I don't have to try to press other people. Now, if the conversation warrants me talking about something that, you know, I've done or I'm doing, then that's fine. But I think arrogance is more like, I'm trying to get people to just like, oh, wow, you're great, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of that?
I think you absolutely, that's accurate. Because, you know, for some reason, something is lacking in the individual. And that's why we need to make sure that we have these tools in our toolbox so that we don't go around being this individual that we're not. Because when we're really called on the carpet, they say when the rubber hit the road, meet the road, you're not going to be able to fulfill what you said. You know, it's like me going somewhere and saying I can teach something, but I know nothing about it. So when I get there, let me stop right there for just a second because it just, you know, popped in my head. Somebody that has this puffed up resume, look good on paper, but there is nothing coming out of you. You're empty. And the way you know that you're not empty, has anybody's life changed? They say that you know them by the fruit that they bear. Are you bearing any fruit that anybody can eat, or are your apples rotten?
Hey, Stacey, you just laid everything down because there are so many phony people out there that they don't want to put the work in. They want to pretend that they got the work in. They want to pretend that they are brilliant and all of these type of things. But the minute that you talk to them, just like you said, it only takes about 2 minutes to figure out, well, I did this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If you're doing all these things, you don't have to say a word. It's going to show for itself, you know. So, but I know a lot of people out there that just want the glory and the fame, and they don't want to put the work in, and they want this all about what other people think about them. And I always tell people this all the time: if you sit back and you count somebody else's money, if you sit back locked in on that what the other person is doing, you ain't gonna have time to make no money yourself. You ain't gonna have time to accomplish anything because you so busy about worrying about somebody else, what they're doing. Tell you, we gotta take a station break. But I don't want to get started on that one because it's a whole lot to it. But if you want me part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments. Ask this great woman any question that you like. I promise you we'll get you an answer. We get back. Hopefully, Dr. Clem is going to ask a question. You know, I'm glad that he joined us, but yeah, we will be talking to Stacey. When we get back, we're going to talk to Dr. Clem when we get back. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. See you shortly.
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I'll let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, praises and stages. These experiences teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to It's Your Life with James Cooley. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get you equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, that last segment had me sitting back here. I turned my camera off, and I was just sitting back here, just listening to the teacher. I mean, just watching her lay it out there, and everything that you said, Stacey, is so true, so true. You know, a lot of people feel empty, but they don't want to put fuel in their system. They hungry, but they don't know how to feed themselves to make them come up, and so that they're not empty. They are able to go out and do things and be themselves. I think that's the most important thing that you explained in that one. And I know we all have people that we know that are like that. Just fabricating about everything. Just fabricating about everything to be seen in the spotlight. You know, so you got my main man, Dr. Clem. How are you doing, Doc?
I'm doing outstanding. Can everybody hear me well?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Hi, Stacey. How are you doing? I'm glad to see our sisters out there still giving us this great advice.
Hi, Dr. Clem. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, so Clem, what do you think about the conversation so far? You know, what's in your life toolbox that Stacey have been educating our listeners and our public on?
Well, honestly, I came in on the last bit of the conversation. The bit of the conversation I came on was talking about people that were conceited. Talking about people that take too much value within themselves and kind of take the air out of the room for everyone else that's trying to have a piece of the conversation. And these kind of people, in my realm, I'm in the technology realm, and I see these people all the time. However, the side of the scale that we were talking about you can pull back the onion, you can pull back the layer, and they really don't know what they're talking about. see their resume and they have all of this stuff that they say they can do and they can't do it. They're just boasting themselves up. In the technology arena, I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I see that arrogant, I see that self-centered person that just takes the air out of the room. But their resume, they can really do it. And their arrogance, they can really back that up because they have the know-how to do what they say, but they still have an air of arrogance, which the key point is if I'm good at what I do, that means everybody else isn't good at all. How can you talk about a little bit about that kind of person?
You know, Dr. Clem, I went back to the emotional intelligence part because a key factor in that is that you have to be empathetic and you have to be balanced. You have to be grateful. You have to, be a change agent. And if you're thinking that nobody else can get the job done but you, that's not a person who's a change agent because they're saying that it's my way or the highway, or I'm always right, everybody else is wrong. And we know that that is not a good person to be around. I call those people oxygen thieves. Because
I've heard that.
we cannot steal other people's oxygen. We have to allow room for everybody to provide their part of the puzzle. Because now with this one person, it's lopsided. And I use this in relationship guidance, and I say the only time a relationship is going to work is when two people have decided that they no longer want to be selfish. They're no longer going to give in to that human trait because it's there and it's evident in a lot of places. That human trait, you have to be able to control it. That's why we need emotional intelligence. This is why we have to have it in our toolbox, because we cannot go around making other people feel worthless.
That is amazing. I mean, that's dead on the spot. And I know we're pressed for time, but I have to get this question in, and you can just give a simple answer. I know that there's more to talk about. Of course, we're going to bring you back on the show. There's critical thinking skills and resilience. But one thing I want to ask, and this also goes for emotional intelligence, do you believe genetics as well as family upbringing and life experiences have an impact on how emotionally intelligent or resilient a person is? Because you do have family, you do have people who are raised differently. Some have been coddled and they were never able to do anything on their own or to have that confidence. What are your thoughts on that, Stacey?
So, I think about this often when I think about my own family. There were 13 of us most of the time in the same house. I was raised as an only child, but the family house, there were a lot of us. I got enough cousins that I don't need no girlfriends. And so the thing about this is we were all raised in the same house at the same time. But some of us, we didn't get it. Some of us got it, but some of us got it. We started to demonstrate later that we were paying attention, but because of the other influxes of things, whether it was drugs or whether it was the lifestyle of wanting to be out in the street. I grew up in Washington, D.C., so there was a lot of opportunity to go out and do stuff that we really didn't have any business doing. And sometimes those same people that were in that same house that received the same instructions that I did. Now, let me make this clear, though. I was one of those ones who was out in the street, but later on in life, God said, oh, time to come off the street. And for some reason, I had to go out there and get that experience to bring that experience here now to make sure that I'm emotionally intelligent enough to know how to balance it all. And sometimes that's what happens in families. People don't know how to balance it. People don't know how to, get back on the right track and keep everything focused.
And you're right. And we're down to the last minute of the show. And Stacey, if somebody want to reach out to you because you are so inspirational, how could they get in touch with you?
They can always email me at Stacey. You can use my name, Stacey Bulluck at yahoo.com. That's the easiest way. Or you can go Stacey at Power in Resilience. Stacey, Stacey at Power in Resilience.
Stacey, just like Michelle just said, you're coming back on again. I give about another 3-4 weeks if you have time in your schedule. And I know you're going to be kicking off your show soon as well. We're going to talk about that next time you're on air. But I like to thank you, always thank you for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another great show. I like to thank my main man, Clem, over there. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow.
Straight out of my head. Guess we